Good evening, everyone. My name is Allison Turner. I'm the founder of Bad Cat Media Group, which is home to my company, to my two brands, Dream Plan Start Grow and the Allison Turner. That's my son again. Um, but tonight I wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about why some people take massive action as business owners and some people get paralyzed and stop taking action. And one of the kisses of death is to not take action as a business owner. And that's one of the biggest frustrations when I work with entrepreneurs because I've been there. Trust me, I like early on in my business, I would analyze decisions and do I go down this path or this path? And I would just keep looking at it. And then I would just not make a decision because I was weighing the pros and cons of both. It wouldn't be like a quick weigh of the pros and cons and then make a decision. It would be, well, what if I choose the wrong path? So it would be that fear. What if I take the wrong path? What if it's not perfect? I mean, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I've gotten better since owning this business. I will say I'm much better than I used to be. But I grew up with that, having played tennis and played athletics, and then really put a lot of stuff on myself. So between like the work in school, the athletics, I also did some theater stuff. I was always going and I was always quote unquote achieving. And I always felt like I had to be my best. So my best, maybe not what I may not have been like an A plus student, but my best was still my best. So to take massive action though, we have to be confident in what we're doing, right? If anyone's listening to this, I mean, if you're not confident, it's harder to take action because you're fearful, right? What if I choose that wrong path? What if I make that choice and it's the wrong choice? But I'm here to tell you that most of the time, unless if you're making a big, huge decision, like, am I going to go rent this huge space? I don't really have the money for it. That's a little bit bigger choice. And you have to weigh that out. Obviously, you don't want to get stuck and not be able to pay for the space. But most choices I see in action are not that type of choice. It's little minor choices, and it's just us taking a step back and saying, like, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen if we fail at whatever that choice is we learn from the situation and we move on. That's it. I mean, most choices that we're making on a day-to-day basis as a business owner are not going to be life or death decisions. They're not gonna be, "Do I do this treatment or this treatment?" Like you if you were in a hospital. No, they're not life or death decisions, and that's what we have to think, like, stop overthinking, and I'm a master at overthinking, so trust me, I understand, and I would say halfway through my business ownership, the 10 years, I've gotten so much better at it, where I just make that decision and go. I mean, there's still some situations where I'm thinking about what I wanna do, but I'm not overthinking it. When I say overthinking, it's like overanalyzing everything. It's, again, what I just said, am I making that right decision? Am I instead of like, "Hey, I am making the right decision. This is the right decision for me at this moment, or this is the right decision for my company at this moment, and I'm going to move forward." And sometimes that overthinking is just because we're focusing on too many things. And focusing on too many things is because we don't have that clear vision. Remember, when you own a business, everything starts from your vision. It's what is my vision right here? So if my vision is to go from nothing as a business owner to making, let's just say the first step of $100,000 in a year, what do I need to do to accomplish that? And and backtracking those steps out. And then those decisions, once you get to that action, become easier because is it leading to that $100,000 and that vision, or is it taking away from it? And that's really what you want to think is what's making me better, what's improving me, and what's moving me towards my target and my vision for my company versus what's detracting from it. And the other thing that really can hurt a business owner is a lack of confidence. And I'm sure we've all been there where we're in a brand new situation, especially if you've never owned a business before and you start a business, that right there can be a lack of confidence, depending on the person, the situation, things like that. But you can have that lack of confidence because you haven't done this before. This is a brand new situation. Before you worked for someone else, you were in this little box, right? You were in this little box and you did your job description and you were really good at it. Now all of a sudden you're exposed to all these new things that you have to do as a business owner, especially if you start as a solopreneur, where you have to incorporate, you have to, set up accounting systems, you have to figure out, are you building your own website? Are you hiring someone? You got to do social media. What social media accounts? You have to do all these things that maybe you weren't responsible for previously when you worked for someone else. And that can lead to a lack of confidence. It can lead to being overwhelmed by a situation. It can lead to all these different things and fear. Ultimately, people are are inactive or not taking that massive action because of fear, right? Fear of making the wrong choice, unclear on your vision. What if I choose the wrong path? All those different things. And one other thing I would say about not taking massive action is sometimes business owners can be unorganized, meaning, and I don't mean unorganized in like your office plans or something like that, but meaning, the day before I go to work or even the morning of, I'm looking at my schedule. I'm looking at what are my goals for the day, not only from my personal business standpoint, so I'm working on my business, but also from my client standpoints. I'm looking at both of those and how do I balance those two things? And I'm planning those out. So I know exactly what I need to get done that day, and I'm taking that action to get that done. And I find that it's interesting that sometimes I meet business owners that don't do that as well or don't do it at all, or they do it, but they do it kind of as a you know, fly by night, not fly by night, that's not the right word, but the day of, they're like, oh, let me look at my clients and what do I have to do? And it's like half the day's gone and now they're making those choices as opposed to planning in advance. And even like often will look at my schedule on a Sunday night or even early Monday morning and look for the week of like, okay, here are all my clients, what needs to happen, what needs to get done. And then also looking from my own personal like standpoint of I'm working on my business and not just in my business and what needs to get done so I work on my business successfully as well. So I'm looking at it from kind of both standpoints. So I'm being able to schedule time to accomplish both. Because the other challenge in entrepreneurship is you get so wrapped up with your clients that you don't continue to work on your business. And the challenge there is your vision grows, right? You start out with a vision for your company, and the vision changes over time. I mean, my vision with the business partner 10 years ago when we started is much different than where I am today. That vision's evolved over time. It's looked different over time, all of that. So you have to dedicate time to work on your business as well as in your business. And if you're not, I'm talking about a little bit every day. Even if you say, hey, I'm so busy right now with clients that I can take 30 minutes to do this. Even if you dedicate 30 minutes, like that's better than nothing. So tomorrow, or whenever you're listening to this, take a minute, think through your situation and how can you improve on taking massive action? Because honestly, action is better than inaction. Even if you're making the wrong choice, even if you're going down the wrong path for a step or two, because at least you find out what's going on and what's good and bad. If you don't take any action, like you'll never know, right? You're never, you're trying to perfect everything before you either go live with it or you're trying to perfect something before you um, do whatever. You're launching a website. I always tell clients a website's a work in progress. It does not have to be perfect to be launched. It needs to be good, it needs to be professional, it needs to be branded to your company well, but it does not have to be perfect. So tomorrow, think massive action How can you further implement that in your life? If you're doing it, awesome, congratulations, great job. But if you're having those challenges and one of these things, you're unclear on your vision, fear, you're overwhelmed, overthinking something, you have a lack of confidence, if something like that is holding you back, think about how can I push through that and continue to take massive action. But massive action, what you're gonna find is when you do that, a lot of times those other things go away because now you're not sitting there thinking about it and brooding about it, because when that happens, that's when the lack of confidence comes. That's when being overwhelmed comes. That's when the overthinking comes. But when you're moving forward, it's not there. It's amazing to me that as long as I'm taking those action steps, that's not there. So figure out what the best way for you to take massive action is. Get started, keep improving your business, keep working on your business and not just in your business. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you again maybe later this week or early next week. Bye for now.